So hi guys, we are here today again to discuss about flattening the curve. How two places, Kerala and Bhilwara, were very efficient in flattening the curve and preventing an increase in cases. So Koushitha, I would like to introduce yourself and then start off with with your opinions and views.
Okay, I'm Koushitha. Hi. Now my discussion about this started like three things. Okay, the first thing, Kerala was the first fear, right? So it was the first fear in a country about the first case positive in Kerala. First, second thing, it was highest on the list, right? Third thing is the lowest on the list. This is something to discuss, right? So I thought this is important about the discussion. You can go on, Sachin.
So if you see, Kerala was the first state to have COVID-19 case, and initially it had the highest number of incidents of coronavirus. Like it had 105 back in March 22nd or something. So it had one of the highest cases, and so the secret lies in the extremely proactive administration of the government and the state. The health minister KK Shailaja, she was successful in providing the and as the government says, they also had an early experience of dealing with the Nipah virus back in 2018. So I think that majorly COVID-19 and the steps they took was I'll discuss about the major steps which which puts Kerala and other states. So first was they had a very early lockdown even before our Prime Minister announced.
Yeah, correct. The time was very early, right?
So that is one part. Yeah, correct. It was very early, and that could be one of the reasons. And so they started early. They had like 72,460 in observation during the screening period. And testing. At the local level, they had aggressive testing. So it was one of the reasons. And one more is very successful. The contact tracing exercise was very successful. They found out the infected people and they took the information from them about whom they contacted earlier, and it was very successful. Right. And next point is the quarantine facility. They had an extended quarantine period. Like usually in COVID-19 case, everyone the general rule is like 14 days quarantine, but they extended the number of days of quarantine. So that also had a role to play over there, and the quarantine facility was also good. Okay. And one more is migrant workers flight. That is usually, as we see in other states, migrant workers tend to move they are jobless now, and they'll be very restless. And Kerala had a very inside forward-looking thing about that, and so they considered this problem and they tackled this problem. And one more thing is Kerala announced a very good package. Like they announced a 20 crore special package. 20,000 crore, sorry, 20,000 crore, like where India announced 1.3 billion, 20,000 crore package for the, this includes everything, food, including the loan thing, everything. Okay. So I think this is a great thing about this. And
Koushitha, do you have any points on that?
First state to 20,000 I think package.
Yeah. So Koushitha, in general, do you have any points
Yeah, it had like
Yeah.
in detail. I
See,
think
first thing I would like to tell is, yeah. Okay. The first thing I would like to tell is Kerala. No, there are so many people work in abroad. Okay, so many people from Kerala work in abroad. So the point started where everybody started migrating backwards to their own state, right? So that was very. One more thing is like home quarantine concept was very important in bringing them up. So the home quarantine was very important. Is what I'm thinking. Second thing, they had one helpline contact committee type. Okay, it was known as Disha. Okay, and then you can call, and it reached out to locals also. For example, I moved from my place to some other place, and I was not checked. Okay, so people moving from Bangalore or any other place to Kerala, even the locals were checked. So that Disha program was something new which I've heard. And next thing was, and also at that time Kerala's secondary spread was very hard, like faster. It was very quick and faster. Okay, and then one more thing was the primary care. No, the beginning care from the airport to the locals. That's the big stretch. Was the primary care was very important. That point, the hard work and that health workers did. No, that was very useful to control. And one more thing I was thinking is, even though this economy came down, the politician, no one has protested yet. So that unity of Kerala people would, I think that was also making a point. And one more thing was they put up this kiosk centers, okay, Corona kiosk centers. They are centers which are free from the government, helping them to test, okay, before the rapid testing programs. Alright, so they were very primary centers, okay, very free from the government. The people to check in the local places. They were very, it's known as kiosk centers, okay. That was also helpful. So you prevent the first step itself, so the remaining steps goes away. And one more thing I heard was the politicians, now coming to the politics, that was a unity. Even the opposition party, they never complained, or they never suggested, they applauded for what they were doing. So maybe that is also a point I thought. And one more, surveillance. The check, you have to keep telling them you have to keep doing this, you have to keep doing this. That's how the state runs, right? That was the surveillance was like very, very good, is what I thought. And one more thing they bought was the community kitchen. Known as community kitchen, okay. Okay, it's you and me, everybody here, even we have food, like we have food for 6 months. Maybe a year or many months, but the daily wage people, like that's the problem going on now. People, they're not fed, and they are at least for 2 days to get their money, right? The problem was solved by doing this thing known as okay. So this coming mainly for the daily wage people. How it was like they started with a 20 rupees meal. If you have 20 rupees, they will give food. And then started, and then that became a really big something to serve. The donation.
Chaos of the migrant workers.
Yeah, chaos of people, that brings in the unity again, right? So the donations came from big people, and then again the supplies and all those things. And one more thing, the last thing I would like to tell is the technology, the apps and kinds of things, right? People who need, they got it. So they message to people like NGOs and all were involved in those apps and all that stuff. So when they were messaged to people who need food, they were helped for the NGOs and people, and all of them helped. So I think that was also a thing, like, because it's not a flood or something, right? So we don't have connections. It's nothing like that. We have connections, right? We have internet, we have internet facility. So through that media network, they got help, is what I'm telling. Yeah, that's it. So these many points I could gather.
So right now we can say that, like, in the country. It's like what Kerala thinks today, India thinks tomorrow. It's like that. So, seeing this, so Kerala was the first state who, faced lockdown release. And it also wrote a letter to the PM about this, and I think the center considered this and then took a step about this zoned release of the lockdowns, which PM announced on the 15th of April, like 14th. And one more is right now, Kerala doubling is taking place like every 9 days. Like in the initial April, doubling was taking place every 9 days, like doubling of the cases, and like right now, if you see the whole time, the doubling takes place where if you see in other states in India, now it's like where it's growing rapidly. So told a lot about this pandemic.
So, if I can add few points is, can you guys hear me? Yeah. So the points which I wanted to add was that one, I think Kerala was at an upper hand because of two things. It had just recently gone through the Nipah virus situation, and second thing is, since Kerala was one of the first places, actually it was the first place where the first coronavirus case in India was detected. So I think they got a very early view into how bad the situation can get, because they would have realized from those few students how fast the virus could have spread. Probably they might have even seen symptoms in maybe one or two health workers who they themselves would have quarantined. So I think Kerala in these two ways had just faced a pandemic, and second is they got a very early head start because they had one of the first cases at a very early stage. These are two important points I want to say. And the third important point I want to say is that when I was going through a lot of articles, I found that Kerala had invested into its healthcare system from the topmost layer to the bottommost layer. That is, it had focused from the grassroots levels, the Asha worker level, to the top high end level. So everyone was able to take part in the healthcare system to effectively bring about the management of the situation. So even when the cases started to go out of hand, everyone knew and everyone had a set of protocols to follow. Every person had already good directions and knew what they're supposed to do. So I feel that was a very, very, very important thing which also helped them. And like you said, the early lockdowns and the early restriction of movement of people, increased testing. So here is where I want to link the Bhilwara model, which is seen in Rajasthan. So it is a small district which is very close to your capital of Rajasthan, Jaipur. So over there, they detected the cases quite late. Only somewhere around 18th March was the first few cases which came. But from 18th to 30th March, the cases had doubled very fast. And they realized that if they don't take restrictions and put down restrictions, it can create a lot of problem. So the district collector and the magistrate over there, what they did was they put a complete lockdown, 100% lockdown, even before like in Kerala, even before the government had announced it, the Indian government, they themselves put a complete lockdown, 100% lockdown. They did complete door-to-door screening. And for them, the situation was worse because one of the first patients who had tested positive was a doctor. So the number of contacts is very high. So these two things proves one thing very clearly, that a rigorous lockdown and a grassroots level healthcare system with a rigorous follow-up and screening can make a very big difference. Sachin, Koushitha, do any of you have any points to add to this?
Okay, I have one thing. Whatever you said is correct, but even we do it, like all the states do it, right? Everything, almost everything, they've converted trains into your hospitals, and they've given a lot of place for quarantine, and they've started some what is it called, the spraying and all those things, right? So the thing is, very important thing about Kerala is time. Okay, time, and one more thing is the quarantine process and the health workers hard work. Like, from the beginning, that's what I'm telling. They have even rooted out the locals, very extreme locals from who have traveled in cars and bikes, and it's a long way, right, from the airport people to
Yeah.
this thing is tracing large population in a very small time. These two things are major, is what I think.
Sachin?
Yeah. So, like, I'll say the things which the country has to, or the other states has to take from Kerala.
Yeah.
The lessons are like, first one is aggressive testing. First one is aggressive testing. Initially also it had the highest number of testing, like 12.1 tests per lakh. It had that in the early March, mid-March. And then one more thing is like settling these migrant workers. You know, you should if you see Mumbai right now, it is facing a lot from these migrant workers. We had seen the incident.
Yeah, right.
So
that's
they have to find a way to keep them at rest, and so right now
I think 100% quarantine should come, right?
100% in India, I don't think it's possible.
I didn't mean that it has to be forced, right?
To add to your point here, like you said, the fact that it was not only the healthcare system, but that economic package, the other measures they took, supplemented and benefited the population over there, and taught them and not only that, they also did a lot of educational campaigns, and they tried to educate as many people, and they taught and made people understand the value of social distancing and things like that. So these small things individually, like you said, may not make a difference, but when it's all put together, like the migrant crisis, making people understanding social distancing, the economic package, all together brought about a huge relief to the healthcare system. So that is the point which I wanted to add to Sachin. And another point which I wanted to add to Koushitha's was, like you said about the quarantine in the Bhilwara district which I was talking about. So what the district place, the magistrate and collector did was, as soon as the lockdown was imposed in that area, they also took over almost 30 to 40, I think, lodges, hotels with around 2,000 of total beds, and they also took over a private hospital and immediately converted it for COVID and the other rooms for quarantine. And they aggressively tested the contacts, and they, even if they had the slightest doubt, they were put into quarantine. So like Koushitha said, that quarantine also played a major role in breaking the chain and helping the social distancing work out much better.
Right now, the increase in cases in other states also, I think that is also because the other states have also increased the testing, the number of testings. So that's why they're able to find out more number of cases. That's what is, I feel.
Yeah, that's something good, right?
Yeah. So Kerala has been consistent. Like last 2 weeks, the curve remains almost flattened. And one more point to observe here is, taking all these measures, what is the advantage? Two more advantages are, like, the number of recoveries. That is 52% recoveries. Kerala has 52% recoveries.
Yeah.
And it has the lowest mortality.
Yeah.
One of the worst mortalities in the whole country. Like only 3 or 4 by now. That's it. Only 3 or 4 deaths. That's it. Yeah, this is the thing.
One more thing which I wanted to actually add to Sachin was, sorry, Koushitha, you were trying to tell something. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just telling telling that mortality is a very important point,
Yeah.
right? So that is something. It's because of the workers, right? So they don't give up, and that force. I think even their surveillance place. You have regular checkups. You just tell you have to be quarantined. You don't check. They'll just break the quarantine. So even in home quarantines, no, they had the neighbors check on their neighbors that they were in home quarantine for 14 days, and if they try to escape or go out, they were supposed to. The neighbors were supposed to report to the nearest healthcare and police centers. So this home, so that surveillance, no, it's very important. That from the government help to this extent.
To add to Sachin's point on the testing, so if you remember, I had mentioned one point about the first case coming in Kerala. So I think that served as an advantage for them, because at that time itself they would have started procuring a larger number of test kits, because they had already got the first case. So I felt they were able to do much more testing, because they detected the first case at a much earlier stage and would have got a lot more testing kits at a much earlier stage. So this is, I'm not saying that this is the reason. I'm saying that this is one of the reasons that probably Kerala was able to start larger number of testing and get more testing done at an earlier stage. So this is the thing which I wanted to add. Sachin, do you have anything?
Yeah, that's it. What the country right now is testing this. Finally, they're testing.
Testing, right.
To increase the number of testing. So right now, what other states have increased the testing. It's like per 7 testing, they're finding 1 positive case. It's like that.
Right.
Average.
True, that is true. Like I was just watching the news show before I came. So there they were telling that probably the cases by mid-May could reach even 70,000 and things like that. If the if you're not controlling the spread immediately. So at the current rate, it looks like it's going to go pretty high. So states will have to enforce quite a stringent measures in testing, in following up of contacts, and in enforcing the lockdown. So it's going to be a tough job.
Surprisingly, like after the lockdown or in the mid of lockdown, if you observe other countries, the cases are almost like the graph was almost going down. But India is the only country, like exclusive country, where the graph is going up. So that, I think probably one reason for that is the population density of India. We can't help it.
Right, that's a very important point.
One of the reasons. Be one of the reasons.
And I feel another reason.
You can't say that you can't say lockdown is it's not a total waste. It is of some use. Where it comes to use is like lockdown. It took the number of cases where where our health system battle, that extent. So the number of cases to that extent where our health system was ready to battle. I think the major advantage of lockdown was that.
And I also feel that probably in India, the politicians knew and the health experts knew that the testing was not enough and that they did not have the materials enough to do testing at a rapid pace. So probably they thought that lockdown will slow it down enough so that they can produce enough materials for testing. And not only that, supposing the cases still do rise, it won't rise so fast that you will not, like Sachin said, the healthcare system will not get overwhelmed. And also it gives a lot of time for the government to mobilize resources like ventilators, manufacture them, masks, and a lot of other things to actually combat the virus in case it goes out of hand. And currently looking at it, it looks like it is kind of going out of hand also.
But it is a slow rise is what I am thinking.
Yeah.
it's a very slow rise, but it is a race.
The number of cases is very. So compared
Yeah, it being a very dense country, I think it's a slow race. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, since we do not have any.
You can't like.
Yeah, tell.
You can't predict the trajectory right now. You can't. You can't see where it's the end.
See, and one more thing I feel is that even if we don't, that is, if we don't get a vaccine or a drug soon to treat it, how long are you going to continue to put lockdowns and put restrictions? Because at some point people have to go back, and even if you have few cases and you remove the lockdown, it's again enough to cause a secondary wave. So India is never safe because of the population and its population density also. So that is one very challenging situation India will continue to face for the rest of the year.
Yeah, right. And
situation particularly for it.
Yeah.
Correct. Especially the second wave, no, you cannot manage it. We cannot manage it if it comes again, so it's really hard.
And even if we do control it now, it's going to be a challenge, because even in China, they are seeing it. It's quite a big challenge for them to prevent imported cases from again re-establishing the infection in the community. So even if we do completely eradicate the virus in the country, again, when we open up our borders for international travel, there is still a good chance that new cases can be imported, and that will be we will have to, for a much longer time, till the vaccine or the drug comes, we'll have to screen very, very rigorously to prevent the secondary wave, is what I feel.
Yeah, and everything will go down. Your economy especially will be hit very hard. So you cannot get back to the the graph for the economy. It's really, really hard to get back. Okay, I hope this discussion. I really liked it.
Yeah. So, Sachin, any other final points?
RPM should concentrate more on announcing some packages for the and
that is true. But I'm sure our PM Modi ji has his hand tied up a lot.
Yeah, always his team of what do you call it? What was it? Announcement. What do you call it? Addressing the nation.
Yeah.
The theme of that is what the people can do for the nation, and not what the nation is doing for the people. Nothing about what the nation can do for people.
Yeah, that's
Sachin, just my viewpoint over here. I'm sure a lot of people will like to differ. But what I am impressed in our Prime Minister right now is that he is doing the job of guiding the people, which is equally important. Because it's the thing that Prime Minister can sit and announce and jump into the work of a finance minister, the health ministry, and all that. But if you look at it, the health ministry continuously gives updates, the finance ministry continuously give their updates, and the Prime Minister focuses on his work of coordinating all these bodies to come together. Because running a country is not the same as running a state. A state is much smaller, and it is a much more local area. Whereas a country will involve a lot of different states, different kinds of people, and is slightly more complicated. So I feel, personally, it's my opinion that he's doing a good job coordinating. And yeah, I do agree that he can step up his speeches and his ability to communicate with the population in general.
Yeah, correct.
But one thing what we have to appreciate is, never before in this country, a whole country, how it is listening to one man's call.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Even the lockdown, how the whole nation is coming together and responding. It's actually.
Yeah, and something really good.
We make better use of this.
Yeah. I wish that when we come out of this pandemic, we are a changed India and a better India, a more united one and a more mature India is what I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hope to bring back.
So I think, guys, we had a really good discussion. I enjoyed it today, and I'm really looking forward to the next set of discussions with you guys. So thank you so much for joining me today to discuss this topic. I hope all the people who watched this video enjoyed as much as we enjoyed discussing about the topic today.
Yeah. Was I clear when I spoke?